In the heart of Ilorine, where the streets of Taiwo-o-Care hummed with life, there was a food spot unlike any other. It wasn't the grandeur of the building or a chef with an extraordinary background that drew people in, but something far more mysterious, the food itself. Mama Titi's restaurant was a place that drew you in with no more than the warm scent of delicious jollof rice wafting through the air. Her meals were said to be the best in town. People raved about her pepper soup, claiming it could cure any fever, and her akara? Well, you'd swear it was made with a secret ingredient that had been passed down through generations. The dishes tasted so good that they made you feel at peace, as though they nourished more than just your body but your very soul. But as much as people adored Mama Titi's food, there was always something strange about the place. Ahmed, a broke university student, had first heard about Mama Titi's place from some of his classmates. Everyone spoke about it, so naturally, he wanted to try it. One day, he finally walked into the tiny corner shop with a hope to get a quick meal. Despite the humble setting, the restaurant was always bustling with a steady stream of customers, many of whom seemed almost hypnotized by the taste. No one ever saw her shop for ingredients or deliver goods. No suppliers, no deliveries. Her kitchen had no windows and always stayed closed. Yet, the food was endless. It was as if the pots cooked themselves, the plates were always full, and there was no shortage of supplies. Mama Titi's warmth and welcoming demeanor were enough to put anyone at ease. She had a calm smile, a kind heart, and her voice seemed to always know just the right words to comfort you. However, Ahmed couldn't ignore the fact that there was always a kind of mystery hanging in the air. He decided to take up a part-time job at the restaurant to make some extra cash. Little did he know, this job would open a door to a world he never imagined. On his first day, one of the older workers, Isaac, gave him a peculiar warning. "Ahmed," he said, his voice quiet, "never go near Mama Titi's kitchen after dark." Ahmed was confused. "Why?" he asked. Isaac glanced nervously around before leaning in. "You don't understand. She's not who you think she is. Just trust me, stay away from the kitchen after dark." The words felt more like a riddle than a warning, but Ahmed laughed it off. It was probably just an old superstition, right? Everyone in the town had their rumors and stories. But something about Isaac's face stayed with him. What could possibly be so strange about the kitchen? The curiosity began to eat at him. Days went by, and Ahmed continued to work at Mama Titi's. He became more familiar with her routine and noticed small things that seemed odd. For example, he observed that Mama Titi never seemed to have to buy ingredients. She would never show up at the market or make a trip to the local suppliers. There were no crates of tomatoes or bags of rice brought to the back door. And yet, there was always food. Always enough to feed every customer. Ahmed began to wonder if maybe the whole town was under some kind of spell. He noticed that people would often become almost obsessed with her food, coming back again and again, never seeming to get tired of it. They didn't just enjoy it, they craved it. One quiet evening, while the restaurant was closing and the rest of the staff was cleaning up, Ahmed's curiosity got the best of him. He wanted to see the kitchen with his own eyes. So, he waited until midnight, when the streets were empty and the city was cloaked in darkness. Ahmed's heart raced as he approached the yellow door that led to the kitchen. He had told himself he wouldn't go in, but his feet betrayed him. With a nervous hand, he turned the knob and entered the room. The door creaked loudly in the silence. Inside, Mama Titi was there, just as she always was, calm, collected, and focused. But something was different. She wasn't cooking food in the way Ahmed had expected. Instead, she stood in front of a large, wooden table, surrounded by a collection of odd objects. A strange bottle with a faded label, an assortment of herbs, and a worn-out journal. A pot simmered on the stove, but instead of the usual aroma of spices, there was a faint, pungent smell. Ahmed's breath caught in his throat as Mama Titi bent over the pot and poured in something. Something that made Ahmed's stomach turn. He leaned closer, trying to see what it was. She had poured in what looked like dirt. The smell was unbearable, and Ahmed felt a wave of nausea rise within him. What on earth was she making? As he was about to step back, a voice startled him. You shouldn't be here. He spun around to see Mama Titi standing in the doorway. There was no anger in her voice, only a quiet calmness. Ahmed froze, unable to speak. Curiosity has a cost, she said softly. But I'll give you the truth. You have a choice to make now. Mama Titi's gaze held Ahmed captive as she slowly approached him. This food, it isn't just food, she began. It's a part of me. A part of my story. The power to heal and to nourish comes with a price, one I've paid for a long time. Ahmed could barely comprehend her words. He had thought Mama Titi's food was simply delicious. He had no idea that it might hold something darker, something much more sinister. Mama Titi continued, her voice growing softer. The food you've eaten has been altered over the years. It's not just a recipe, it's a connection. I've been feeding people for years. And each person I feed takes a little piece of me with them. What I give them, they cannot forget. It calls to them. Ahmed felt an intense shiver run down his spine. The craving he had felt, the pull toward her food, suddenly clicked. It wasn't normal. You've become a part of this cycle now, she said, her eyes locking onto his. The food you've eaten binds you to me. And soon, you'll need it more and more. You won't be able to stop. Ahmed's head swam with confusion and fear. Was she telling him the truth? Had he unknowingly become part of something bigger than he had ever imagined? How could he escape? Mama Titi's voice dropped lower. But there is a way to break the bond. All you need is to leave it behind. Leave this place. Leave the food behind. Ahmed couldn't understand how it could be so simple. But he had already felt the pull, the addiction to her food. How could he possibly turn his back on it now? Days passed, and Ahmed's mind grew more and more troubled. The cravings didn't stop. No other food tasted the same. He found himself walking past the restaurant, almost as if drawn to it. The need for Mama Titi's food gnawed at him relentlessly. But deep down, Ahmed knew what he had to do. He had to leave. Not just the restaurant, but the pull of the food itself. He started avoiding the shop, trying to distance himself from the cycle that Mama Titi had spoken of. But the food kept calling to him. One evening, after a particularly bad day of hunger pangs, Ahmed returned to the shop. He told himself it would be the last time. He walked in and ordered a plate of jollof rice. As the food arrived, the aroma filled his senses. But this time, it was different. He stared at the plate in front of him, knowing what he had to do. He pushed it aside. And for the first time, he walked out of the restaurant. Mama Titi's voice echoed in his mind. Leave this place. Leave the food behind. And so he did. Ahmed broke the bond. But as he walked away from the restaurant for the final time, he noticed something strange. The door to the restaurant was closed, but the faint scent of jollof rice still lingered in the air. Some bonds, it seemed, were harder to break than others. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, drop a comment and subscribe for more.